What if Anakin killed Obi-Wan on Mustafar? In Revenge of the Sith, we witness Anakin and Obi-Wan's nail-biting duel, and how Anakin was eventually defeated by his old master. As a result, he was burnt so badly, he was then forced to live the rest of his life trapped in a dark prison of his suit. But what if things were different? What if Anakin was the one to defeat Obi-Wan instead of losing to him? Well, in this alternate timeline, that's exactly what we'll be diving into. So let's get right into it. Our story begins towards the end of the epic showdown on Mustafar. As the two fought along the lava river, the fight was finally coming to a close as Obi-Wan then did a backflip to land on top of a nearby hill. However, this is where our story is different from the original. As Obi-Wan stood there on the high ground, he knew Anakin would try to jump, so he warned him not to try it. But this Anakin was beyond listening. He was tired of his master underestimating his abilities, just as he'd done for the past decade. He was tired of the Jedi Order always holding him back. Anakin had had enough. He wanted to end this fight right here and now. So in that very moment, fueled by a rage that made him more powerful than ever, he made a decision that would change the fate of the galaxy. He leaped. But this wasn't a clumsy, desperate attack. The two were evenly matched, blade for blade, but Anakin's raw power was something else entirely. As Obi-Wan swung, Anakin twisted in mid-air using his master's momentum against him. He landed right behind him and stabbed his saber straight through Obi-Wan's chest. It was over. Obi-Wan Kenobi was defeated. As Anakin watched his former master's body collapse to the ground, a cold finality washed over him. For so long, Obi-Wan held him back, and just like the rest of the Jedi, he never understood what true power was. As Obi-Wan's body then rolled down the lava bank, Anakin kicked it into the fiery river below. However, as he stood there on the high ground he had just claimed, his thoughts quickly shifted. He now had one thing, and one thing on his mind only: Padme. He needed to get to his wife. He rushed back to the landing platform, where he found her ship, with C-3PO fussing nervously beside it. He had force-choked her in his paranoia, but with Obi-Wan dead, his victory was absolute. He no longer saw a traitor. He saw his wife, who he had to save from the Jedi's lies. But as he approached, the ship's ramp began to rise. R2-D2, sensing the terrifying change in his old friend, was forcing a takeoff. "Take off, R2. Have you lost your circuits? That is Master Anakin coming," 3PO cried out. But R2 knew better. Anakin wouldn't allow this. He needed his wife. Channeling all his power in the dark side, he reached out and pulled the ship back from the sky. The Naboo starship strained against his power, the droids inside panicking. However, then the unexpected happened. As Anakin kept pulling, he saw a silver flash of metal in the sky. It was Palpatine's shuttle. For a brief second, his concentration broke. That was all R2 and 3PO needed. They punched it, and the ship rocketed away, leaving Anakin alone on the platform. Meanwhile, back on Mustafar, Palpatine's shuttle landed. He expected to find the broken, burning remains of his apprentice, but instead, he found Anakin Skywalker standing tall, his eyes burning with Sith fire. Palpatine hid his shock. "You have done well, my young apprentice," he began, but the dynamic was immediately different. This was not a crippled servant being rescued. This was a victorious conqueror. "Padme is on that ship," Anakin snarled. "She's still alive. Give me your ship. I need to leave now." Palpatine's smile was chilling. "You may have defeated Kenobi, my young apprentice, but know your place. This empire is mine. Put your personal feelings aside." "No," Anakin shot back. "I am going after her." As he said this, Palpatine's clones surrounded him, blasters raised. Anakin didn't care. He leaped towards Sidious, ready to attack. But then, with one brutal strike of Force lightning, Sidious knocked Anakin right to the ground. Troopers stun him and bring him aboard. When Anakin awoke, he was strapped to a table. The humming of a lightsaber was right next to his face. Sidious stood over him, his red blade pointed at his throat. "This is the weapon of a Sith, Lord Vader," Sidious hissed. "If you try to attack me again, I will ensure that you suffer the same fate as the Jedi that met this blade." "Yes, my master," Anakin choked out, the fear real. He had underestimated the Emperor. "Where is Padme? Is she safe?" Sidious retracted his lightsaber. "It seems in your anger, you killed her." "No, I couldn't have. She was alive. I felt it." Rage filled him. He tried to break the restraints, but Sidious simply held him down with the Force. "Accept it," the Emperor said. "She is dead. However, her death has brought you a gift: pain, anger, hatred. These emotions will bring you closer to the dark side, and you will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Anakin refused to believe it. He knew she was alive on that ship, and he knew in that moment that Sidious was to blame. He would learn the truth, with or without his master's help. 1 year later, the Empire was rising, and Anakin's skills in the dark side had become stronger than ever. He now wore black robes and carried a new crimson saber. But he never forgot what happened on Mustafar. Whenever he wasn't hunting Jedi, he spent his time planning to overthrow his master. He knew he was more powerful, but Sidious was smart. He couldn't make the mistake twice. He needed an ally, someone with the same hatred for Sidious as he had. Luckily for him, he knew just the person: Darth Maul. Anakin hired bounty hunters to find Maul, not to capture him, but to get a location. Soon enough, he had it: Dathomir. As Anakin arrived, he approached a cave where a shadowy figure was meditating. "I'm here to offer you an opportunity," Anakin said. "You and I have a common goal." Maul scoffed. "You couldn't possibly know anything about me." "Oh, but I do," Anakin countered. "I know Sidious killed your brother and your mother. I know you remember that feeling. How can you just sit there while that man rules? You think your little syndicate has a chance against the Empire? They're here to stay, unless you and I do something about it." "Enough," Maul roared. "We'll take him down together and rule this galaxy," Anakin promised. "You'll have all the power you crave." "Very well, Darth Vader," Maul agreed, his voice filled with venom. "I will join you, and we shall have our revenge." With that, the two set off for Coruscant. To remain undetected, Anakin placed Maul in handcuffs, making it look like he was a prisoner. They made their way to the Emperor's throne room. "Ah, Lord Vader," Sidious laughed as they entered. "I see you have brought me a prisoner. But yet, I sense a disturbance." "This ends now," Anakin declared, releasing Maul's cuffs. "I know I didn't kill Padme. Tell me what happened, or your old apprentice and I will make quick work of you." The two ignited their red lightsabers. "So be it," Sidious screamed, igniting his own and leaping at them. As the three clashed, Sidious masterfully countered their every move, knocking Maul to the ground to face Anakin one-on-one. But this time, Anakin was holding his own. He had anger, he had rage, and he had hatred for his master. With every strike, he grew more powerful, until finally he kicked Sidious's lightsaber from his hand and brought him to the ground. As Maul was still struggling to get up, Anakin had already won the fight. It was over. But just as he was about to demand answers about Padme, Maul leaped up and ran Sidious through with his saber. "No!" Anakin couldn't believe his eyes. The answers he searched for were ripped away from him. "What have you done?" he yelled. "Enough time has been wasted," Maul said. "Now put your feelings aside. We have work to do, apprentice." "Apprentice." Anakin's voice was dangerously low. "You think I'm following your orders?" Anakin ignited his saber. So did Maul. The two clashed back and forth, but Anakin had had enough. He refused to let Maul take this from him. He overwhelmed Maul just as he did Sidious and knocked him to the ground. "Have mercy, please," Maul begged. "You fought well, apprentice," Anakin said coldly, and with one swift strike, he stabbed Maul through the chest. It was over. With both Sidious and Maul defeated, the galaxy now belonged to him. But that didn't matter. He needed the truth. What happened to Padme? Without hesitation, he ordered his ship to set course for Polis Massa, the last known location of her ship. As he stormed the abandoned medical facility, he accessed the old ship logs and found it: security footage from the night she arrived. As he pulled it up, Anakin couldn't believe his eyes. He witnessed Padme's final moments. But there was something else. He rewound the footage. He saw Padme give birth to twins, Luke and Leia. Anakin felt numb. This entire time, they were alive. And then he saw who was with her: Yoda. Yoda was with her in her final moments. His children were out there, hidden by the last great Jedi Master. In this timeline, Anakin's victory on Mustafar didn't save him. He won the duel, he won the galaxy, but his soul was lost, and his true goal was now clearer than ever. His family was still out there. The chosen one, now an emperor, the case got everything he thought he wanted, only to realize his quest had just begun. But what do you think? What happens next in this dark new timeline? Could Anakin ever find Luke and Leia? And what would a final confrontation between Emperor Skywalker and Master Yoda even look like? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into a darker timeline, be sure to like and subscribe for more Star Wars